Sorry. You got to keep that in now.
Welcome back to Anime Royalty Radio. It's your boy Vol, and tonight on our comic episode, we're going to be talking about how Carnage is the best villain in Marvel Comics, and he will always be a villain, never a good guy, never an anti-hero, and how Eddie Brock Venom just absolutely sucks. And joining me on that journey is my main man, Aaron
suck
Legend.
my propaganda.
Mr. Spud,
Uh,
and Don Juan.
Dude,
so just letting
it's
you
like
know.
midday.
So just letting you know, since he's so butthurt right now, Marvel has announced that with the new Red,
No.
White, and Blood.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. No, it's
Nope.
Blue, White, and Blood. Or
Red,
something.
white, and blood.
It is
Nope.
Red, White, and Blood. Carnage series is that Marvel is opening a door to make Carnage a hero.
Not gonna happen.
Who says it's Donnie Coates? What's his name? Donnie Coates, whatever the fuck his name is. The guy's doing
Donnie Cates.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
It's him doing it.
Really?
So
Twice?
I mean, he does do, like, whatever he wants, like, which is cool, but
he's gonna do it, and I hope he messes up. Carnage.
he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. There's no way. Because he's done really good with Venom.
I
Like,
will admit.
he has
Well, he
done-
didn't start out good with Venom. Me and you both talked about that. We thought Absolute Carnage was a little weak, but what it has now branched out to in King in Black is really good.
And Carnage is a huge part of that. But I don't think, like, the whole Carnage feeling remorse for, damn near killing everybody, like, that's not him. That's
No.
literally the opposite.
People can change.
Whether it be Maximum
Not
Carnage,
clean as
Minimum Carnage,
Cassidy.
Carnage Alpha, Carnage Omega,
Absolute Carnage, just a smidge of Carnage, like, you never know. Like,
every Carnage USA.
He saved people from
He's
a nuclear
taken over
blast.
zoo animals and killed them. He does not care.
He saved people from a nuclear blast before.
It's probably so he can kill him
So
himself.
he could kill, he didn't want them to die fast.
That's still heroic.
That's just
He wanted them to die
Cassidy's-
from radiation poisoning.
That's Cassidy's MO. Like, even his parents, before he had the symbiote.
Well, yeah, we do know Cassidy was fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the
That's-
reason
That's
why.
what I
doesn't
love
match his
about him.
MO.
Like, I personally, as I'm a huge Carnage fan, and I personally hope that it doesn't happen. I think it'd be to change. Carnage is to this day one of the most brutal Marvel villains.
But it would fit the whole thing of Marvel taking
Venom
Spider.
versus Carnage as well. Sorry, I just remembered that one.
Okay, it would take Marvel's MO, which they're known for doing, taking villains and making them anti-heroes. Magneto.
Yeah, but there's
Venom.
other villains they could do that
Morbius.
with right now.
But not Spider-Man.
Did they ever change the Werewolf Man into a good guy?
Yeah, he was always part of the Midnight Suns. Yeah, he's a
but
good guy.
wasn't he a villain? Like when
No.
Midnight first started out, Werewolf by Midnight.
No, he was a good guy.
So it was just Moon Knight being an anti-hero then.
Moon Knight was the original anti-hero besides Punisher.
Punisher, yeah.
He wasn't a part of the Howling Commandos?
No.
I must be thinking of something else.
But with that being said, yeah. They're gonna
They're not
this.
gonna do
Yes, they
I
are.
hope they don't.
They're not gonna do it.
I kind of hope they do.
We can't. Honestly, they can't really afford to give up that brutality because there's nobody else in that spot. Like, if Carnage is in a comic, you know that it's going to be bloody. You know that he's going to be an asshole. You know he's going to kill people. You know what's coming. If they make him a good guy, or at least, say they make him an anti-hero where he saves people by killing the bad guys.
You mean Venom, Lethal Protector?
We already have that. Do we really need it again in a red form?
Why not? They do everything else that way.
Lame.
I kind of have to agree. Carnage has been the go-to villain for any big Marvel event for a long time, and just for them to be like, oh, well, we're going to create this new bad guy, and we're switching Carnage to the good side. It's like getting rid of one of your big hitters for no reason.
I mean, literally, who kicked off King in Black? Who was it? Who brought Noel?
Technically, it was Venom.
Technically, it was fucking Carnage.
The only way for it to make sense is
Carnage
if,
didn't understand who it was. It was Venom who was actually warning Brock, don't do these certain things, because if if you do this, you will awaken
But
somebody.
in Absolute Carnage, Carnage was collecting the codices to
But he didn't understand
awaken.
why he was collecting the codices. He
But
even
he
said
was
that first
always
episode.
saying God is coming because he knew. Because he was connected to the hive.
So was Venom.
Right.
Venom was also warning Eddie.
But Venom didn't wake him up.
No, Venom did not wake him up because Venom did not want to wake him up.
Carnage knocked on the door and he said, "Hey, come on in."
But
And now what do we have?
what triggered it is when they separated the Venom symbiote from, I can't remember who it was. They separated him from him. It actually
They
awoke
joined
him.
on Carnage.
Yeah,
Cletus took his symbiote
Yeah.
and they became one.
it awoke him.
And that woke Noel up.
Right.
So
I just don't think it makes sense for them to take Carnage and make him an anti-hero or a good guy, unless they had somebody to fill his place.
Exactly.
And the only person I can think of that could fill his place, and it makes sense canonically,
Venom.
Toxin.
Well, yeah.
Because
Or
even when-
Scream.
Scream has been getting a lot more limelight.
Scream she did get her own cover, but you'll notice even Planet of the Symbiotes, the new one that just came out, nobody mentions Toxin. Ever since Venom number 17, where it was Eddie Brock with Toxin, you haven't seen anything about Toxin. Even when Toxin was born, it's canonical. I know it sucks, but it's canonical.
It was a police officer.
It was a police officer, and the art was terrible. Anyway, the point being
It was.
that Carnage was so afraid of Toxin, even at birth, that Carnage is like, "No, we kill it now." Venom's like, "Whoa, that's kind of ruthless, don't you think?" And then Toxin's like, "Yeah, bring it, bitch." And then Venom's like, "Oh, we're fucking killing this thing right now, right now."
I mean, you're not wrong. That's how we got, Toxin in there. But Toxin's been gone from the comic book scene for a
good
while.
Until Venom number 17, where he comes back out of nowhere. And then he disappeared again. Like, as strong of a character as Toxin is, that's the only person I can think of that might be able to compete with Carnage.
But he's a good guy.
Is
He's
he?
straight up a good guy.
He was at the time.
Okay, so you're saying that
Maybe he's been twisted by the whole Null thing going on. Because he is a symbiote.
Because Eddie
True.
Brock was attacking Agent Venom as Toxin.
because he wanted the symbiote back.
I don't know if it was that or he was trying to kill Flash Thompson or what the deal was, but I don't think Toxin is a good character
So
or
there
an
you go.
anti-hero.
They could definitely make Carnage this good guy now.
I think
No.
that's a sneaky turnaround. They're going to be like, "Oh, Carnage is a good guy." By the way, Toxin.
But his girlfriend Scream is now,
What happened to Phage?
He just
yeah. We don't
along
talk
with
about
the
Phase.
original separated symbiotes that came from the Lethal Protector series, Scream is the only one that's still. Riot got his own thing in the new movie, but other than that, no real comic book series of any other one except for when they did Separation Anxiety for Venom.
Yeah.
That little.
Well,
limited-
Phage was in Separation Anxiety. too,
right,
so
but that's it. Scream's the only one that has gotten
her own.
her own
Yeah.
comic.
A lot of the
since-
symbiotes just go quiet. It's just you don't see anything about them.
Even in what was it? Edge of the Venomverse, when everybody or Venomized, when everybody in the Marvel universe was getting Venomized.
It was always just the Venom symbiote.
It was always just the Venom symbiote. It was never anybody else,
Mhm.
except for Green Goblin. He took Carnage.
Carnages, yeah.
And,
Red
and
Goblin.
now
Red
with
Goblin.
Carnage being Mary Jane.
Yes, and
Now, see, that's another thing, too, because a lot of this is existing in separate, because isn't Gwenum's universe separate from,
Mhm.
right?
What happens is Gwen Stacy goes to an alternate reality, and that reality is being taken over by the hive mind known as Null.
Yeah.
And as she's trying to come home, the Jackal is trying to summon Gwen Stacy using her portal necklace. Don't ask me how that makes any sense. So he uses spiders that are made out of her costume to try and summon her, but she tries to teleport at the same time she's being summoned. So she basically pulls Mary Jane through her suit, and then Null attacks her. He's like, "Oh, you seem kind of familiar. I'm going to turn you into a symbiote instead of making you just a random zombie." So Null gives Mary Jane the Carnage symbiote.
Maybe Mary Jane Carnage will be the good guy.
I doubt that.
I mean, now that she's in their universe, so there's two Mary Janes.
There's two Carnages.
There's also there used to be two Gwen Stacys. One died, but with all the different since we do
That
know,
would make more sense. if there's two Carnages now, making one of them good, that would actually make more sense.
You're trying so hard to justify.
I'm just saying.
But at the same time, Mary Jane she did say we're going to be named after our father's favorite son, Carnage. So it is canonical that Noel really does care about Carnage.
Yeah.
So I don't think it makes sense for him to just turn on Noel so randomly.
But it could be. Listen, you know what it could be? Power struggle, and I could see it coming from a mile away. Anytime bad guy teams team up, there's always somebody who gets mad at who's in power. Noel's the big fish. Carnage is pissed off because he's not the big fish.
Yeah,
I'm going to take you out.
That's just symbiote 101. Even when Flash Thompson was Agent Venom, even if he had to follow orders from his CEO, he didn't like it because the symbiote itself was like, no, we do what we want. Even though he wasn't trying to do it consciously, he was doing it subconsciously, like, no, I do what I want.
Well, but again, this happens in the Sinister Six. They had a problem with power.
Mm-hmm.
Any type of bad guy team has a problem with power.
I don't know, man. I think they pretty much always knew that Doc Ock was the leader. He's the smartest one in the room.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Who was going to lead him? Rhino?
Venom.
He could barely figure out how to open the door to get into the meetings.
This is such an amazing chair.
Yeah. Oh, lumbar support. How nice.
That's how I imagine Rhino at the meetings.
But Russian.
Yeah.
But Russian. So
I don't know. I know my vote is against it unless they choose to go the Mary Jane route. Because making Cletus cast, because we talk about this all the time, things that happen to a character that just completely undermines their character, like what they have been.
Mm-hmm.
And making Cletus Cassidy's Carnage even an anti-hero would just completely destroy what he's been for the last 30, 35, 40 years, which is...
Wouldn't you say the same thing about Doom then?
Doom who?
Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom, okay. Name the last event, big Marvel mashup, that Dr. Doom has not been the main villain of. Or been somehow behind the scenes, the guy, like, it was me the whole time. You're like, yeah, I knew it.
But what I'm trying to say is, he's technically that way. He always wants to do world domination.
Yeah.
Always. Never fails.
Right.
It's always world domination with him.
But he's also not, saving small school buses full of children and trying to bang Invisible Woman on the side.
So he's not protecting his own country at
Now,
all points of time?
now, if Carnage wants to become the ruler of, a small province in Canada and protect only that province, sure, that makes sense. But, I mean...
But then you've literally just told yourself that you've made a doorway for him to go into.
I don't think so.
I
don't think.
I can
do you
see
think
it.
It'll be like Asteroid M, but for symbiotes, and Carnage will protect them?
I don't think it'd be something that drastic, but I could see him taking some of the leftover symbiotes that don't know how to act
And
after
just
Noel,
taking them somewhere,
because he knows that they're going to find up some countermeasure.
become like a symbiote shepherd.
That's the only way
The
I can see it.
symbiote farm.
Now, wait a minute. That kind of makes sense. I don't know if y'all saw it. There was a variant issue of Carnage Red, White, and Blood that was Carnage flying the Silver Surfer board.
Was it red?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So maybe Carnage is slowly being risen up to be the new leader of the symbiotes. And he kind of doesn't become a good guy, but he just...
Maybe he'll take them back to the planet.
Yeah, he kind of just goes back to being ruler of their homeworld. You know, they were in a struggle for the longest time about who would rule who.
But that's the
maybe
reason why
after
Noel...
the death of Noel, he'll just become like symbiote
King Carnage and just
King
disappear
Carnage,
for a while.
I'd be okay with that.
So now you're okay with it?
I'd be all right with that as long as Daddy's still king and still kills people whenever he wants.
You got to admit, that's how Marvel has stayed on top for quite a while. It's not we're writing an engaging story. We have amazing characters. Watch what happens to these amazing characters.
I mean, you're not wrong, but sometimes, too, their stories are not as good. I mean, DC has Crisis of Infinite Earths. That was monumental back in the 80s.
And that's the big differences between DC and Marvel. DC has always been, watch us tell an amazing tale. And Marvel has been, watch these amazing characters go through something.
But Marvel's only had, so far, I'll put 3 in there. 3 really good storylines. The first one will be Old Man Logan. The first Old Man Logan series. That was really good. That was a good, in-depth story about what would happen if the bad guys finally decide, hey, we outnumber the good guys. Let's send Mysterio to fuck with the X-Men instead of him fucking with Spider-Man, who knows him.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice. That was a breath of fresh air into this. The other one is what the Marvel Cinematic Universe fucking butchered. The Infinity Gauntlet. That was another really good story. And it branched off to 3 more good ones. The Infinity Crusade and the Infinity War. Those are 3 really good storylines. I count them together because they're all technically the Infinity storyline.
So you think maybe they'll release like a King in Red?
No. King in Black is that thing now. King in Black is their next big thing. DC has been knocking it out of the park with some of their stories. Blackest Night. Crisis of Infinite Earths. I can go on. Deceased, which is now continuing.
Metal.
Yeah, Metal. So DC has these. You're always used to seeing DC have these really good stories, but it seems like they put them out so much that they just get kind of buried down. So then when Marvel releases one that's very badass and very good, like King in Black.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be very good at this point. Everybody just loves the characters themselves, and they're already buying the stories. Once they hear news of a big event that's spanning multiple comics, it happened to me back in 2017 where they had Spider Island. I was reading a comic book, and then I noticed, wait, why does this Venom comic have Spider Island written at the top? And then I looked through the rest of the Marvel rack. They all say Spider Island.
Right. So it seems like Marvel is trying to take a page now from DC with what they're doing. Because DC is known for doing it. Nightfall spanned it across a lot of DC, mainly Batman variant or comics that came out, Two-Face, Penguin, stuff like that. They were short runs, but they all had something to do with Nightfall.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like Marvel has now learned their lesson a little bit and decided to say, hey, let's do the same thing.
I mean, I just don't see DC ever trying to turn Joker into a hero, though. You know, like making him a full-on good guy and a member of the Justice League.
Well, technically, back in the day, in the 40s, when he found out Red Skull was a Nazi, he beat his ass and said, I will never work with a Nazi.
He also said he's afraid of the IRS, but that doesn't make him a good guy. It just makes him a realist.
I mean, no.
Makes him human.
But there has been times where he might be considered an anti-hero. Look at the movie Joker. He kind of is an anti-hero.
Well, that's the descent. That's the beginning, or it's. I guess I never watched it.
It's really good. It actually surprised me how good it was. But there's moments I could see. How about this? There's moments where he could be a hero, but he's not mainly a hero. Prime example: when Carnage took the nuke and exploded it and didn't let anybody else die from it. That was a hero moment.
Wouldn't have Carnage also died from it?
Yeah, he died. Because he just took a nuke to the face.
But he's been dead. Like, there for the longest time, his symbiote was holding his decapitated head to his body. He's been killed, like...
multiple times,
yeah.
But you and I both know the symbiotes can regrow their host.
All they need is time.
Yep. It takes a little bit longer. It's not like Wolverine and Deadpool.
Yeah,
No, say it right.
No, I'm not.
Say it
y'all
right.
make fun of me when it's
Say it right.
No!
Have we talked about Diamond yet?
No, we're getting ready to.
Carnage is a big topic in this household, bud. All right?
Especially with me loving Venom and him loving Carnage.
And then they want to try and fuck Carnage? Like, no, we're not okay with that here.
So, the other thing that we're getting to
Trying
is...
to stay on point here.
the other
Trying
thing,
to build a shelf.
Yeah. The other thing that we're talking about here... What the fuck is going on?
Jelly Bean.
Is Marvel has left their big publisher known as Diamond. And as of last year, DC left them too. And the reason why is because they actually are shit at publishing.
Now, from a business standpoint, there is multiple reasons, but I think some of the bigger reasons are DC could get a better deal through multiple different people Midtown with their CBS.
CBCS?
No, not CBCS. That's the grading company.
I thought you were going with
I
that.
think it was UBS or CBS. It's some kind of abbreviation. And then there's Lunar, who they're going with. Penguin.
Penguin has picked up Marvel.
Penguin publisher. DC is also working through them as well.
Okay.
And with Marvel seeing that some of the production errors that you can get through a Marvel comic, they've noticed that CGC has finally noticed it. Every comic book shop has noticed it. all the people who buy Marvel comics have noticed it. The quality has gone down. I mean, you can't tell the difference between the cover and an internal page. Like, the quality is so bad.
And one of the main things I know you're talking about is if you picked up a newer Marvel comic and just set it like this, looking at the light, the cover would actually have.
Hear me again.
I hear
Oh,
us
we're
now.
back.
Technical difficulties there for a second, guys. Sorry. We clapped.
Just to make sure that everything's back in order when I do the editing.
No problem.
So you can even see it on your Venom number 3. Like, when I do the B-roll of it, you'll be able to see there's a weird shimmer, and it's not because it's been sitting in the sun or anything.
It's just that's the way it comes.
That's the way it comes from the publisher.
And that's one thing that, like you said, CGC has said, this is a manufacturer default.
And it's getting to the point where CGC just doesn't even, like, make comments on it anymore. They're like, well, we could bump you down to a 9.6 because it's a defect, but once
It's
again,
not your fault.
it's a defect that all of them have. So you can fix it by getting it pressed and making it look better than the others, but now you have to spend money pressing it just to make it look the way it should.
Good thing we know a guy that's learning how to press.
I'm trying.
Yep.
Slowly getting there.
So they're leaving Diamond and going to who?
They're leaving Diamond and going
It's
to
on low
Penguin.
Now who has Penguin been publishing for?
They've
Anything?
been doing DC. I think they did a couple of smaller comic book companies. I don't know their names because I only follow the big ones. That's just me.
Have we seen like any Penguin published comics?
If
See
you've
what
looked at
the-
any
the
new
look is?
Spawn,
Spawn has been
comics?
using Penguin for a while.
Haven't
any new DC comics have been through Penguin. The quality is actually what you'd expect from a modern comic. A high gloss finish with decent ink work, even on something darker. You probably, if you've ever seen an older comic, you'll notice that it's got stress fractures in the spine, and it turns what should be a black spine white. But with a high gloss finish, it'd be less likely to take that kind of damage and break ink. So it'd be a little bit more resilient to stuff like that. Comic books evolve over time to, kind of keep them safe.
they?
from
Right.
the stuff we've seen for years. But from what we've seen from Diamond, it's like they don't even care. Just make the whole book paper thin. It's cheaper. Who are you going to go to?
And Marvel is now saying, we'll go somewhere else.
And that's been the mentality. Diamond's been the number one distributor for comic books since the 90s. They're like, we're the big dogs. Where are you going to go?
And now
It's
they're-
just us. And now they're like, no, we're not taking it anymore.
So yeah, that's big news in comics, actually.
Now, if
Yeah.
you're running a comic book shop, there's a big choice that needs to be made, because if you've been going through Diamond, you might have a good discount. If you're just starting to put out comics and you want to go through Diamond, because Diamond is still an option now, they will be buying wholesale from Penguin to continue to distribute to comic book shops. And if you've been doing business with them for years, you might get, I think their max is a 50 to 55 discount. But if you're a small comic book store and you've only got like maybe 5 or 6 runs you want to carry or something like that, don't expect anything more than 35% because Diamond won't give it to you. Penguin, on the other hand, to help promote everything that's getting started up, if you sign a plan with them, then you're looking at 50 to 55 for everybody.
So Diamond's the way to go. You're trying so hard. It's cute.
I'm just trying to put it out there.
Go
Is that-
ahead, put it out there. What you
We
want?
are dying of battery. Hurry up.
Oh, why didn't you say so?
I did with my face.
You didn't say it with your words.
Well, I was trying to be respectful.
You know how humans communicate?
No.
And with that, Juan has a shelf to build. So
But we are actually running out of battery pretty fast here.
be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed our comic episode. And we will catch you next time.
Thanks for the help, Spud.
I'm sorry, it was funny, okay?